Welcome to Men Let Me Reason, the podcast, a space dedicated to fostering open and honest conversations about the complex realities of fatherhood and ultimately manhood in today's world. We will be exploring the unspoken issues that we men face, shedding light on what society expects of us, our emotions, and our social interactions at all levels, especially within the family. This podcast isn't just about acknowledging issues, it's about us men being accountable, transparent, and finding solutions while building strong support systems. So men, let me reason. Welcome back to another episode of Men Let Me Reason. This is the space where we discuss the unspoken realities of manhood. Today, we will zoom in on playful parenting. And with me to discuss this topic is none other than Mr. Dario Richards.
Yes.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Good. Now, this topic is a little different from all the rest,
Right.
and we thought it important to really look at play within parenting. I think sometimes we underestimate how impactful are the benefits of play. I don't think parents connect enough where play is concerned, but we want to start from the beginning.
Right.
And as a husband, as a father of three young ones, I want to maybe get from you your idea of fatherhood, where that came from. Did you grow up with your dad? Was he active in your life? At least let me start there.
Yeah, so no, I did not grow up with my dad. I think my dad moved to England when I was about 3 years old. So most of the examples of parenting, I have an uncle who married to my aunt, who was a very good example. When I was in my teenage years, started going to church. And, at church, I would start the young men's group. We had a group named Men of Valor.
Nice.
They had some very good examples there of men who modeled what it looked like to be a father. But I think my perspective of fatherhood really was shaped when, I think it was 2013, I went to South Africa and I did a 3-month stint at a leadership school in South Africa. And one of my mentors there was very heavy on the idea of family and fatherhood. He actually wrote a book on it and started a movement called The World Needs a Father. And it was through his mentorship, my interaction with him, reading the book that he wrote, that my perspective of what it means to be a father, a good father, a godly father really came about. At the same time, my own husband parenting journey was still filled with a lot of mistakes, trial and error. My wife and I will be married 10 years in December.
Nice.
Thank
Congrats.
God.
Some people don't met 10 days.
Yeah, 10 years. And I think I can honestly say right now we think we are very good. There were seasons and years of wondering what on earth, was this?
You know what I mean? It's got a testing moment.
But I think, with the grace of God right now we're doing fairly good. And I think that's just the result of having good, godly examples, mentoring, and just pointing the way for me. So yeah.
But I see you on social media, and I was telling you about this, playing your camp, My church you can't get me the camp out, big man. Look, I just started with say the piece.
Yeah, you
Say fella.
I don't got that problem really.
Look, my sons will love me the camp out, so my son begging me, I just see you camp out, so the children. You had things I see you playing, you're washing the car. Like I see, you put this thing on social media and you say, yeah, boy, this man really into this father thing. So tell me, like, how does it feel? You have 3 young ones, and why do you see the importance of playing with them and spending that sort of time with them?
Yeah, so for me, it first begins with fun. Like, just by nature of who I am, like, one of my values as a person is fun. And one of the problems that we have in adulthood, like the older we get, the less fun we either pursue or we pursue fun in very damaging ways, very unhealthy ways, right? And one of the things that I always wanted to have the moment that we started thinking about children is having children is that my home must be a fun home.
Yeah.
Like my children must want to be at home. Like I grew up with people who try to be outside as long as possible because home is more stress than out on the street at all hours of the night. So we made a conscious decision very early that we are going to create an environment for fun, right? And if we're having fun, then we have to be playing. Now, obviously, from a psychological perspective, play is critical for a child's development, right? Whether it be their fine motor skills, but more than that, play teaches emotional management, how to manage your emotions. It teaches critical thinking. It teaches working with others.
Right, listen.
You know, play is a school in and of itself.
Yes,
you know, so there's a twofold process of we can have fun. So if you come into my house, like if my grandmother come to my house, my grandmother will be shocked because my children ready bicycle to the house. Scoot to the house.
Jeez,
you want to play football or cricket? We play cricket in the house.
Serious?
The house will play.
Whoa.
If they can't play in here, then we got a problem, right?
Yeah.
So there's the fun side, but it's also the growth and the development that I see just from play. Like a quick example, my son taught himself to ride a bicycle. I never taught him how to ride the bicycle. I gave him the bicycle with training wheels. One day, see the training wheels off. He said, "Man, Daddy, I want to go outside and ride my bicycle." I said, "Boy, you can't ride, you know. The bicycle ain't got on the training wheels. The boy pick up the bicycle and ride it."
Nice.
And all it was that he just had extra time riding the bicycle in the house.
So they had a different experience. My oldest son, I used to be up and down the community, you know, spending time with him. One of the back of my back hurt and they want the back of the seat and he going down the road. And up and down, and I tell this boy, you can take off the wheels. Daddy no. And one day, a relative came to the house, had one little boy. And the boy got up on my son's bicycle. I rode up the gap. And my son he said, "No, boy, he can't ride a bicycle." And he come, and he then get up on the bicycle and you see it.
Good.
You see how peer pressure is, you know? But yeah, man, like, bonding with children is so important, and I think we don't even do it enough as fathers. The way society has been going, and you know, a lot of complaints about fatherlessness and men not being present, and just to see like a father, young father, being so active in your children's life. How's the bond between you and them?
Yeah, so I believe. So in my line of work, I do a lot of work with people. So I consult, I do team building, leadership development, coaching in that space. So my business has taught me the importance of being a people expert, learning people. And by extension, that has trickled down into my role as a husband and as a father, that I want to be an expert on my children. Right?
Interesting.
I want to know my children, but nobody should know my children better than me. And the space that I create to get to know those is the bonding times, is the fun times, the playing times, the conversation times, even at the young ages that they are at. And as a result of spending that time with them, like I know them. So I know how and when I could discipline who. I could discipline my daughter anywhere. I can't discipline my son anywhere. They're going to respond differently. One going to go to shame and embarrassment and hiding. If I discipline him in front of people, is the worst thing you could do for him. Immediately, his spirit, everything will drop. I discipline my daughter, 2 minutes time, she back up like nothing happens, right? And it's just a matter of wanting to learn and to know them so that I can lead them to the best of my ability, so that I can shape the core components of them. I think one of all of us know this, like, I think what COVID-19 did to young children is traumatic.
Very,
right?
Very.
A lot of children were robbed of core years of development with their peers and even in some cases with their parents. This is where we see, if we think screens were a problem before, then screen time became an even greater issue as a result of COVID, robbing a lot of that interpersonal time. And I am very intentional about continuing to bond and play with them in these types of ways so that I know them, so that I can lead them and parent them well. Right?
So the type of games you play is a lot more physical.
Yeah, none of my children don't got no tablets.
Serious?
None.
In 2024?
None. They don't have any tablets. The only screen they get is TV time. I didn't buy a TV 2 years ago.
But some people may call that abuse.
I know, but I am
Jesus.
extremely intentional because I also know the potential impact that screens can have on their development. So I am not anti-screen. I actually love screens. You know, my son is going to be 6 years in January, and I'm going to introduce him to video games when he turns 6 years old.
So you don't got that plan out?
That's a plan.
When he turns a particular age, how you get?
Because if you think about the development of a individual, some experts, they refer to the first 5-6 years of an individual life, they call it the mother years. Where you realize in this bracket, children want mommy. You know, they want the comfort, the covering of mommy. When they turn 6, from about 6 to 12, that bracket in between there is referred to as the father years. And the father years is where children are now shaping their core identity. So they are now running after daddy a bit more. They want to be with daddy, they know where daddy going, you know. It's more important, especially for boys, to be with daddy.
That is it.
Right?
I just get that, boy.
There we go. So I know that my son is about to enter the age group where he is going to be the most impressionable as it relates to shaping his core identity. So I am introducing him to video games then as another outlet for me and him to bond. You know, I can't remember the last time we played video games. I gave him my PlayStation 3 about 10 years ago and I never had one again. But I can purchase one as a space for us to continue the bonding, and it's also a space for me to manage the time that he spends on it. And this is the trade-off. Like if I want to manage his time, I gotta be involved in it as well. You know? As another opportunity to further bond, but also a space to further give shape to his identity as well.
This is amazing. I'm gonna tell you, I gotta commend you first and first. That is commendable as a father. You know, as a father that is planning the journey of fatherhood for his children. Like you don't really find people doing that.
I gotta be, because parenthood is one of the most challenging things, because it's extremely difficult to measure the impact of your parenting till your children become adults.
You are so correct.
You don't know the type of impact you're having until your children have greater levels of autonomy and independence and operating in the world where they're making their own decisions. Then you're able to see on a better scale whether or not, you know, your parenting style has been effective. So when you engage in an activity that only have that type of long-term reward, if you don't have, I heard a quote the other day that I applied to parenting. The quote said, in your fight against mediocrity, the only weapon you have is intentionality. If I wanna avoid being a mediocre parent, I have to be extremely intentional. And if I don't be intentional, then I leave in the future of my children up to the culture and society and what they're hearing at school and in other spaces. And I refuse to delegate the responsibility of raising my children to anybody else but me.
I want to shift gears a little bit, right? Because I know you're a man, you travel enough. And I know that, you know, you be out and you be busy. Enough parents out there complaining they ain't got the time. You know, they're going to work, they're going to go there and find the money. You know, what would you tell a father, particularly, you're talking to men, but I'm glad you women listening too. But what would you tell a man who believes he ain't got no time for it?
So, you see, I be very careful, right? Because I know that the way my life is currently designed is unique. Like, almost everything I do, I can do on my time and on my terms. Right? I I have my own company, my own business. I engage in ministry, which is primarily global and regional. So I get to structure and design how my time is spent, and everybody does not have that privilege, right? So the reason why establishing that is because I don't want to talk down to people, right? Because my situation and their situation is different. But from a principle and a fundamental place, right? If my business does not include my children, then I got a priority problem. So when I say I'm busy, included in that busy is not just my job. It's that, nah, I can't come with you because I got children time plan. That's when I tell you I'm busy, it include my family. Right? And if my communication of business does not include them, then I got a priority problem. Right? I got an issue with how my priorities are organized. All right. And again, I know that some people, are struggling. They got the working 2, the working 3 jobs. Some men are in a single parent type of setting. That it is really a weight. You go and work the whole day, then you come home. I hear you, right? And I don't want to pretend that I fully understand or even come across as judgmental. But if I am going to prioritize my time and I have children, then they must be a core part of what my time is spent on. And if I am not intentionally crafting time to do that, I got a priority problem.
And I so agree with you. Listen, I consider myself as extremely busy. But I got that priority issue.
Right.
Now busyness includes my children.
Correct.
And people can tell you I'm at every activity that my children got.
Right.
Because when they set the schedule, it includes that.
Yeah.
So I could definitely identify with what you're saying.
Yeah.
But then, using why you said that you don't even into video games or anything. No. But we have a culture now where video games is a major part of households.
Yeah.
Technology is a major part. To the extent that technology raises children.
Yeah.
And as we talk about playful parenting, we even got enough men out there that log up on video games. Boss.
Yeah.
I know some man that does be. I hear everybody saying, but my husband and my boyfriend, they 2-3 o'clock, they may play the video game. I personally just can't really understand.
Right.
But again, I'm judging nobody or name. But these same men are fathers in many instances. I mean, we setting the example. How do we get these men to understand that, I guess, maybe what is happening with video game, I should say the negative impacts of video games. We've got some positives too.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely, But there's a lot, the negatives is what's carried down that real slippery slope.
Correct.
And they say a lot of issues within the social environment. How do we get men to really?
I think a long time ago, I heard a guy was talking about technology and he compared it to a ship. And he said, when we created the ship, we also created the shipwreck. You can't have a shipwreck if you don't have ships. But because a shipwreck possible, don't mean you can start creating ships. You just got to create ships that are better able to navigate obstacles in front of them. And that's how we think about technology. Now, I actually think there are more benefits to technology and even gaming to some degree as there are negatives, but we must be intentional about how we navigate them, right? The gaming industry, that they got statistics on this, makes more money than the film and the music industry combined. To the point now that professional gaming is actually a profession. They got people making millions of dollars playing video games, right? So don't think for a moment because I ain't gaming or my children don't have games that I am one of those who, video games should be thrown away. But like everything else, I think they must be managed, right? Men, when it is that we are stressed, when we are overwhelmed, men to seek toys to release pressure, right? Unfortunately, some of those toys and processes can be extremely destructive, right? Men turn to drugs, turn to alcohol, turn to sex, Some turn to video games.
Yeah.
This is after a stressful day, this is how it detox, right? And the same way that you could overdo drugs, overdo alcohol, you could overdo video gaming. As a matter of fact, in places like Asia, the men saw this increase, this crazy increase. And you know, like how we got Verdun House as a drug rehab, the men start building rehab centers for technology and internet addiction because people overusing the technology. So I think like everything else, you got to do it in moderation. And you have to be purposeful and intentional about how you use it as an individual. And when you introduce it to your children, then there must be boundaries and rules set around it. So for me, example, and this is my house, I can't tell people how to parent with their children. When school is happening, my children can only watch TV on weekends. The only time the TV turn on is on Friday after school. After home, they get some time on Saturday and Sunday. When Monday come, no more TV. Right? And I treat it as a reward. So my son know he learned the days of the week because he wanted to learn when TV could come, right? So he know TV is coming, and we could plan. All right, Friday gonna be movie night. We can get popcorn, and he knows how much time of TV it is. It's a reward. In vacation, you get a little bit more left. And if you go with his grandmother, then a control there. You know, grand of the children. But under my rule, this is how we deal with TV. When I introduce screens to the house, whether it be a tablet or video game, boundaries and rules will be set around this again. And the reason why I'm waiting until he's 6 years old to introduce them is because we can negotiate how these things are used. So when it is bought, I sit with him and we decide how much time he could play this alone, how much time we could play this together, and what is the quota for the day or for the week or whatever, and we come to a mutual agreement. That's part of my parenting and teaching him decision making, teaching him, negotiation, teaching him, the reward and discipline, etc. But also introducing him to a space with a system or with a game that I know he would enjoy and have friends and have fun with, that as he grows friends at primary school, that he will have, a component of his life he can share with them and engage in. But again, it comes back to intentionality. You got to be intentional, and intentionality also has to be accompanied by some sort of vision or idea of for your own life and for your children. Where you want to see them, where I want to be. I got a vision for my life and I got a vision for my family. My wife and I, we have a vision for our family, what we want our children to be, where we want to be, and we have to be intentional about moving towards it.
Big man, that is so powerful. I know I got enough people that will listen to you, right? I said, man, you talking beer foolishness, man. For sure. You got your children, they give your children the thing, but I like the fact that you are creating that solid foundation. And I think that's what we're missing in today's society. I think that the foundations built for the lives of children are so shaky because everybody got excuses. There's excuses for everything. It's that level of mediocrity that you don't made mention to, and to deal with that being intentional. A lot of people just allowing life to just drift and just happen. And then you complain. We reached a stage in society now where everything is deviance and young people and crime and all of these things. And we didn't get there overnight. We didn't get there overnight. I seen children at 6 and 7 playing shooting games, killing. I think we're normalizing these things through games. But as you said, they got a lot of benefits with technology. But I feel as if you're not protecting our young people enough.
I agree you 100%. I obviously in the line of work I do in ministry, you often hear people talking about, the generation is so lost. And I always tell adults, you don't lose people, you leave them behind. You don't lose a child. A child in the key. You can't if the child is not where they should be or where they need to be, that there's a generation before them that was negligent. We didn't lose them, we left them behind. We failed to do what was necessary to contribute to their healthy growth and development. right? And if it is that we acknowledge that the deviance, the behaviors that we are seeing is a direct result of poor parenting in many cases, and then if you're having poor parenting, then people are placed in societies where you're seeing poor examples. Human beings are the product of our environment, right?
It is so true.
We are the fruit of our environment. We reflect what it is that we see in our upbringing until we are introduced to something else and something different. And because of that awareness, we also need to acknowledge if something is going to happen to change a generation, then we got to act on it. We can't delegate the responsibility for a 6-year-old changing to the 6-year-old. Somebody needs to step in and create a new path to redirect the 6-year-old to where is a more healthy and a higher quality of life. But the more that we keep blaming, blame the father, blame the church, blame, that's why I keep saying that I will never delegate the responsibility of raising my children to nobody. I ain't delegating it to the teacher. I ain't delegating it to the Sunday school teacher. I ain't delegating it to the football coach. Raising these children is my responsibility. And you could think, you should get them screens, or you should, all right, fine, man, you get your children.
You
do what you gonna do with your children. Let me deal with the consequences of the approach that I taking with mine. Because these are my responsibility. I taking blame me. You see something wrong with these right now, blame Dario. Full responsibility for it. And we need adults who are going to take full responsibility for intentionally raising their children.
And that's leadership. That is leadership. I mean, we made a start, but we gotta lead families, and we gotta lead these men. But that's exactly what leadership is. You know what I mean? Being intentional about it, having a vision.
You know what's one of the first lessons my children taught me? The first lesson my son taught me is that I can't live in a house with my wife and be a good father but a poor husband. Can't coexist. I cannot live in a house with 3 children and a woman and be a good father while being a bad husband. Can't work. Because the primary mode of teaching these 3 children is by what I model. Not by what I say. So I can't be treating mommy one way and then feel that I could come to the tree this year. My daughters ask me, Daddy, why you talking to mommy like that? Straight. What? I can't be a good father and be a bad husband at the same time. So it ain't just about how I lead my children, it's about how I lead my family. How I model what it looks like to be a husband, to be in a relationship with somebody else, how we manage conflict, how we work through disagreement, what that looks like in front of them, because they're gonna do what they say, they're gonna do what they see. You know?
Correct.
And as you said, that's leadership. That's part of a man leading, not by what he says, but by what he does, what he models.
Powerful. Teenagers. We talk about children. Your children right basically through the house and you're camping out. Let me talk to parents now that got teenagers. Because play for a teenager is so different. You got to teach a teenager, well, I hope. To ride bicycle and play football. Their whole ideology, their whole idea of the world is so different. And at that time, I feel like there's be a big disconnect. How do we get parents now to really start that reconnection process, or how do we get them to really create the environment to play, or creating a playful type of relationship?
One of the things that nothing in life is scaring me like the fact that I can got a teenage daughter. Like that's my scariest thing in my life right now. So I think that you're gonna build a foundation. Right? It's gonna be extremely difficult to wait till the child is already a teenager to then want to implement, certain practices.
But that's what happening now. You got a lot of people that drop the ball. For whatever reason, whatever life situation. Again, we don't want to judge. But you drop the ball, whatever disagreements you want, you had sometimes families break up, things happen.
Yeah.
Job issues, people working, but then you don't realize that this child is now becoming a bit problematic.
Yeah.
And then they want to know develop that relationship.
It's very late, you know, and
but not impossible, in my opinion.
It's not impossible at all, you know. Like I was talking about, you know, those first 5-6 years being mother years, then about 6 to 12, 6 to 11 being father years. But then children just enter into a season where their peers are more influential than their parents, right? So the first thing that I would say is that if you have a teenager, you need to understand the stage of life that they are in, right? Because a lot of parents just get upset with children for doing what children do. Yeah, there are things that teenagers do because of the season in life that they're in.
Correct.
Right? Don't expect. Yeah, when he was 5 and 6 or 7 or 8, he used to tell you everything. He ain't telling you everything no more.
Correct.
Right? This is the season of life that they're in. So I think it comes back to knowing your child and understanding the season that they're in, understanding where their priorities are, where their preferences are. And then, especially if you drop the ball before, no, you can't force anything on them.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, of course, if they're being deviant and disrespectful, you could force and implement the rules of your house. But talking about if you are now making an effort to rebuild bonds, etc. And the easiest way I have found with whether it be with teenagers or even with adults is first and foremost, learning what their preferences or interests in, showing interest in their interests, and creating and hoping that they create space to invite you in. So if your son does play video games, express interest in learning to play the video games so you can sit and play with him. Where is the interest? If your daughter into doing nails and that's something that she like watching on TV, go and find somebody who's teach nails and give she a invitation for 2. You know, look, I find somebody who could teach nails. I got 2 invitations. I'm willing to come with you. You want me to come? Yeah. Like this is her. This is what she's interested in. This is what she gets to the boat. But it comes back again to learning your child and showing the level of interest that they will go with. All right, I'm gonna test the waters. Because you know, teenagers like to test. They like to see how close they can get to the edge, how they can test you, you know, and let them invite you into what they're doing. Sometimes it may work, sometimes it may not, right? Depending on the stage that they're in.
But you know, we got a lot of parents who can't get that, do.
It's
a lot of parents that lack the skills to connect with the children. Whether it's because of childhood experiences, they never had the opportunity to play, you know, and if they be grappling with that there too. Well, we could sit and we could talk of all that needs to be done, you know, let it in. But we got parents that are struggling, big man.
Yeah, man. I think that's because we treat parenting like a natural process. Like because you have a child, you know how to parent, right? And that's not true. Parenting, like every other area of life, have spaces to develop skill sets and to grow to be able to be effective at it. I think one of the things that we have lost as a society is that village reality, you know, and just like everything else that had both negatives and positives, but we used to have a society where parenting wasn't reduced to just your family unit alone. Like I was sick. Was very sick. Had a very terrible experience, and my mother, she moved into our house, and I got sick overseas. She stayed with my kids while I was overseas. When I came back, she remained at my house for a month, you know, and then, you know, my wife and I would get a break and we would go out and people would hear me always say, but they answer, so many children say, with my mother. And then eventually somebody say, oh, your mother's gotten in very often. But I began to realize, but yeah, everybody, mommy, don't take care of the children, let us take care of mine. Yeah. And the more I dig in and, talk to friends and talk to others, I realize how many parents, whether single or a couple, are raising their children on their own.
Correct.
They may got the help.
Correct.
They may got the extra hands. Everything with trial and error,
That's the reality of this world.
And I think that's a huge loss of our society, that we don't have villages raising children anymore. We don't have persons who are coming and holding others and giving them wisdom and insight into effective parenting practices. And also on the back end, parents not recognizing that parenting requires a unique skill set.
Yeah.
And learning and developing what they need to be effective.
Yeah. But you got some men who believe that this player thing is a girly thing. Or this player thing you dealing with, you know what I mean? Like you're raising a man. This whole idea of masculinity and I guess the issues associated with it.
Yeah, but I would say off the bat, that's a very poor view of masculinity.
Yeah.
Because nobody don't play like men. we play everything.
Yeah.
Football, cricket, dominoes, everything we turn into a competition. Right? Yeah. So that's a very poor view of masculinity and a very pure view of parenting and manhood. This idea, and this is one of the negatives from back in the day, that the man always supposed to be this angry, when you hear daddy name, it's fear, discipline supposed to be. If the only thing you're doing for your children is providing and punishing you feeling, you just give money and licks. That's all you do. Like your contribution as a father is money and licks. Nah, fam, what you think this is? There's a horse. It cannot be the case, right? So I think that requires a rethinking of what it really means to be a man and the role that men play in a child's life. I told you about the book, The World Needs a Father, that highlighted 4 roles that your father should play in a child's life. One of those roles is shaping identity. The other one is affirming potential. One is establishing moral identity, moral authority, and then creating a sense of security. Those are 4 roles. And if you can commit to affirming potential and shaping identity in the child's life, you have to be engaged in the place of play. Yeah. Because this is where you see your child. This is where you see you when you play with them and when you observe them playing with each other. I learned so much by watching my children play. You put my child in here, he can go and introduce himself to everybody. Yeah. I come in this room and go sit down in my corner. Yeah. So manhood that is given to serving those 4 ideas in a child's life must introduce play and having fun as a family, so you can have the type of impact you need to have on your children. There's a saying, you have no influence where you're not. Correct. You understand? And it is important that we really, really understand that, especially as men and as fathers. But as we wrap up, probably give these men some parting words. What would you tell the men out there, fathers, as it relates to play and being engaged in the children's lives, What sort of advice you'll give the men out there? I think I will begin where we began and just begin with, as a parent, you must have a vision for your child's life, right? Your child is currently the one thing that you have that you are responsible for molding and shaping. And if you think about it from an artist's perspective, even if the artist doesn't know full well in the beginning what they want to draw or what they want to create, they know that the goal of them engaging in this painting or in this sculpture is to create something beautiful, right? And as a father who has a responsibility for a child, you gotta shape what is the beautiful thing that you want to see come from your child. Who do you want to see your child be in the future? And once you're able to craft that, because obviously you don't want to force them into your own ideas, but you want to be able to mind the goal that they already are and see their potential and their personality really maximized. If you have the goal to do that, then you're going to learn the tools and the skills necessary to mind that and to shape that. And the truth is that none of us are perfect. You hear me talking about fun and how I think about my family, but parenting and marriage is still the two areas in my life that I will never present as an expert, because it's still the two most challenging things that I do on a day-to-day basis. So mistakes will happen. But if you have a vision for your child's life, a vision for your family, and you become intentional about growing into the person who can mold that, then I think you're on the right path. Mistakes will happen, but get back up, keep the focus, and just keep being an awesome parent, you know. And I hope that in years to come, when you see the fruit of your parenting, that the fruit look good and taste good, man.
Yeah, boy. Yeah. Dario, listen, thank you.
Thank you
very much for sharing, big man. Like I get so much out of that, and I really hope that all you men out there that are watching this podcast was able to take something from what Dario would have said. And thank you very much for tuning in. Now, we are available on all social media platforms. So tune in on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, Men, Larry Reason. Like, share, comment. Until next time, Men, Larry Reason.